In this lesson, we are going to learn about ordering fractions or comparing fractions. So we want to compare different fractions to determine which one is bigger than which one. So in ordering fraction, there are two ways you can do that. You can order fraction from the highest to the lowest or from the lowest to the highest. And when we order fraction from the lowest to the highest, we call it ascending order. Is when you ascend, you go from the lower point to a higher point. So when you compare fraction from the lowest fraction to the highest fraction, we call that ascending order. And when we do the reverse or the opposite, we call it descending order. That is comparing fraction from the highest to the lowest. And there are two approaches of doing this. One of the approaches is to write all the fractions to have a common denominator and then compare their numerators. The fraction with the largest numerator is the highest. That is when you write all the fractions with common denominator. So for example, if I have 2 over 3 as one of the fraction, I have 3 over 4 as another fraction. For me to know which of these fractions is bigger, one of the ways to do that is to write the two fractions to have a common denominator. And to get the common denominator, that is the LCM of 3 and 4 is 12. So for the first fraction, 2 over 3, what am I going to multiply by 3 to give me 12? That should be 4. And whatever I do to the denominator, I have to do to the numerator. I have to multiply this 2 by 4 too. 3 over 2 over 3 is equivalent to 2 times 4 is 8. And 3 times 4 is 12. And doing the same thing to the second fraction, which is 3 over 4, to express it for this fraction to also have a common denominator with this. Again, I'll need to multiply this by 3 to get 12, and also multiply this by 3. 3 times 3 is 9, and 4 times 3 is 12. So the two fractions now have a common denominator of 12. So the fraction with the highest numerator is the biggest. So in this case, 3 over 4 is bigger than 2 over 3. That is how to compare fraction by using the method of multiplying or writing all the fractions to have a common denominator. Another way is to multiply each of the fractions by their LCM. So the LCM of 2 over 3 and 3 over 4 is 12. So I'm going to multiply each of these fractions by 12. The fraction that gives me the highest result is the bigger fraction. So I have 2 over 3 multiplied by 12, 3 here 1, 3 here 4. 2 times 4 is 8. The other fraction is 3 over 4. So I multiply that by 12. 4 here 1, 4 here 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So since this fraction 3 over 4 gives me a bigger result 9, that means 3 over 4 is bigger than 2 over 3. So we have an example here. Say write these fractions in order of size. In order of size. Okay, in this case, let's write it in ascending order. It's not specified whether we have to go ascending or descending. So in this case, I want to go in ascending order. Now I'm going to use the two methods that I explained earlier. That's writing the two fractions to have a common, not two, how many fractions do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4. And write all of them to have a common denominator. And I will also use the second method of multiplying each of the fractions by the LCM. So for the first method, if you look at all this denominator here, 5, 3, 15, and 30, 30 is the lowest common multiple of all of this number. So I will try and express this fraction to have a common denominator of 30. And for me to do that, 2 over 5 rather, what do I need to multiply by 5 to give me 30? That should be 6. So 2 over 5 is the same thing as 2 times 6. And whatever I do down here, I'm going to do it up here, which is 2 times 6 is 12 over 30. That is the first fraction. Then for the second fraction, what will I multiply 3 by to get 30? That should be 10. So 1 over 3, 3 times 10 will give me 30. And whatever I do there, I will have to do it up to. So this is 10 over 30. Then for the third fraction, 7 over 15. 7 over 15. What will I multiply by 15 to get 30? That should be 2. I need to multiply the numerator also. So I have 14 over 30. So now to know the bigger fraction here, we have, let me write this other one. I will compare with 13 over 30. So now compare all their numerator. Which one is the biggest? The biggest is right here, which means 7 over 15 is bigger than all of these fractions. So if we are going in ascending order, we will start from the least to the highest. So the least here is 1 over 3 because the numerator here is 10. So the least fraction here is 1 over 3. 1 over 3 followed by 2 over 5 because the numerator is 12, which is smaller. So 2 over 5 followed by 13 over 30. You can see, if you look at this one, we think that this should be bigger than this. So you cannot just know which fraction is bigger just by inspection. You must write them either in terms of common denominator, or you multiply each of the fraction by their LCM and compare the results. So in this case now 13 over 30 is smaller than 7 over 15. 13 over 30 and then 7 over 15. This is in ascending order. If we are doing in descending order, that means we need to reverse the number. This should come first, followed by this, and lastly this. That will be in descending order. But in this case here, this is ascending order. Okay, so aside from this, I'm going to use the two methods. The second method is to multiply each of these fractions by the LCM of all the fractions. So let's clean the box so we get space to work that. If you are doing that, the LCM of 5, 3, 15, and 30 is 30 itself. So multiplying each of these fractions by 30, 2 over 5 multiplied by 30, 5 here 1, 5 here 6. 2 times 6 is 12. Then 1 over 3 multiplied by 30, 3 here 1, 3 here 10. 1 times 10 is 10. 7 over 15 multiplied by 30, 15 here 1, 15 here 2. 7 times 2 is 14. And lastly 13 over 30 multiplied by 30, 30 here 1, 30 here 1. 30 times 1 is 13. So comparing the result, the smallest one here is this 10, followed by 12, followed by 13, and then lastly 14. So arranging this in ascending order again, starting from the smallest to the least, which fraction gave me 10? The fraction that gave me 10 is 1 over 3, meaning 1 over 3 is the smallest fraction. Then the fraction that gave me the next small number, the next small number is 12, which fraction gave me that? That is 2 over 5. 2 over 5. And then the fraction that gave me the next smaller number again is 13 over 30. And then lastly, 7 over 5, which is the biggest of all the fractions. So this is again in ascending order of magnitude. If you are doing descending, you reverse it, starting from the bigger to the smallest. So I have an example too. I say write down these fractions in order of size from the smallest to the largest. Okay, this one specified that we should start from the smallest to the largest again. So the first fraction is, okay, we actually have only one fraction. All of these are options to know which one is the answer. So I have 3 over 4, 3 over 4, 7 over 12, and 1 over 2, and 2 over 3, right? 2 over 3. So I'm going to use the same, the 2 method again, writing each of these in terms of common denominator, that is making all of them to have the same denominator. And looking at these numbers in the denominator, 12 can divide all of them, which means 12 is the LCM. So I'm going to express each of the fractions to have 12 in their denominator. So in this first fraction, 3 over 4, what will I multiply by 4 to get 12? That should be 3. And whatever I multiply here, I will also multiply here too. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 3 is 12. That is for the first fraction. The second fraction is already over 12, so I will not touch that. Let me just circle it. That is their grandfather. The 1 over 2. What will I multiply by 2 to get 12? That should be 6. And whatever I multiply here, I will multiply here too. 1 times 6 is 6. Then over 12. Then this fraction, 1 and 2 over 3, rather. 2 over 3. What will I multiply by 3 to get 12? That is 4. I'll multiply the 4 here too, which is 8 over 12. Now comparing their numerator, which one has the highest value? This has the highest, followed by this, then followed by this fraction itself, which we did not touch, and then lastly this. So the question says we should arrange from the smallest to the largest. So the smallest fraction here is the one that gives us 6 over 12, and that is 1 over 2. The fraction is 1 over 2. You write it here, 1 over 2, followed by the next smaller fraction is 7 over 12. 7 over 12. Then the next smaller one is 8 over 12. And what fraction gives us 8 over 12? That is 2 over 3. 2 over 3. Then lastly, the biggest fraction is the one that gives us 9 over 12, which is 3 over 4. So 3 over 4. Now let's compare which option here is correct. We have 1 over 2, 7 over 12, 2 over 3, and okay, so option A is the correct answer here. Okay, now let me use the other method since I said I was going to use this 2 method. The other method is to multiply each of the fraction by their LCM. Again, I will write the fraction here. The first fraction is 3 over 4. The second fraction is 7 over 2 over 12. Then 1 over 2, and then 2 over 3. So I'm going to multiply each of these fractions by their LCM. LCM of 4, 12, 2, and 3 is 12 itself. So 3 over 4 multiply 12. 4 here, 1, 4 here, 3. 3 times 3, 9. Then we do the other one here. 7 over 12 multiply 12. 12 here, 1, 12 here, 1. 7 times 7 times 1 is 7. Then the other fraction is 1 over 2. Multiply by 12. 2 here, 1, 2 here, 6. 1 times 6 is 6. Then the other fraction, 2 over 3. Multiply by 12. 3 here, 1, 3 here, 4. 2 times 4 is 8. Now we compare the result. Since we are going from the lowest to the highest, that is smallest to the biggest, which one is the smallest result here? 6. And what fraction give us 6? That is 1 over 2. Followed by 7. What fraction give us 7? That is 7 over 12. Followed by 8. What fraction give us 8? That is 2 over 3. And followed by this one, that is 3 over 4. So 3 over 4 is the biggest of the fractions. So that is how to arrange fractions in ascending or descending order. Again, ascending is from the smallest to the biggest. Descending is from the biggest to the smallest. And that brings us to the end of this class.